Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to RobMotive JT. So what's under the hood of the 2025 Jeep Gladiator? By that I mean, what have I put under the hood and why? What does it do? Why even do it? Before we get to that, we got to take a look at what's under the rear real quick. A little while back, I had painted the exhaust and I guess shroud area for the spare tire. You can kind of see it through there. How's it doing? How's it holding up? And why did I do that? Well, I did it because it was glaring silver or chrome kind of looking under there. And I'm not a big fan of that, especially when it's a shroud like you can see, and I'll show you closer in a second, and just an exhaust tip or exhaust pipe. Who wants to see that? So check out what I've done. You guys can see it right under there, and I just did it with a brush, so obviously it's got a little bit of texture to it, but I actually think it looks pretty good that way. It's held up pretty well. You can see there's no chippage or anything like that on the shroud or the pipe. Let's take a look back here, and you can see the pipe right there. Obviously it's got a little bit of dirt and dust on it, but it looks pretty good and it's holding up really well. Again, as is the shroud under there. It's just one of those things, I guess, that is aesthetic, obviously. I mean, it really serves absolutely no purpose other than makes me feel better when I look at the back of my truck, right? I'm happy with it. I think it looks good. Of course, you can spray it, but you know, unless you're willing to tape off everything, the last thing you really want to do is get any black paint or anything on the side of your truck, right? Now, what I used is just a high temperature grill paint. Not that the temperature on that pipe is ever going to be real high. I mean, not as much as a grill, certainly. But I wanted something more robust that I knew was going to hold up and not cause me any issues. So let's get to the hood. We'll take a look and see what's under here. I have done a couple of things. First one, you may notice right off the bat, and no, not this bouncy crazy thing. This always reminds me of those door stops, right? Every time you walk by them, you slam it with your foot, or the dog or somebody's playing with it. Little kids really love these too. I don't know why. Anyway, it drives me nuts. I can't stand it. First thing you're going to notice under here, probably when you lift the hood, of course, are the hood struts. These are red line tuning. You might be able to see them there in the dim light. They're just bolt on, very simple, and you can see they bolt on right here on the side, right down here on the bottom. They have a clip that kind of reaches over the edge. There is an install video on the channel, of course. You want to take a look at these. And then they just bolt on right up here at the top. Right there, you can see in the edge. It has a little, it's like a rectangular, I don't know, metal piece that kind of fits in a slot that's there. And then you bolt it down against the edges of the slot. Works really well, but I will caution you, and I did this once, you have to be careful when you're putting that little piece in there, because if you drop it, it's going to slide down right inside the hood, down in here, well, down here somewhere, and you're never going to get it out. It's going to be this rattly thing that's down in here. So make sure if you're doing this mod that you're very careful and do not let go of that metal piece. Again, how do I know? I did it. And it's still in the hood of the Jeep. I think it was the Mojave that I had, and unfortunately for whoever bought that, maybe there's a rattle there, I don't know, but not a good thing. Got one on the other side, of course, too. You might be able to see the insignia a little better over here, maybe. There's the red line tuning insignia, and I'll leave a link down below to these if you want to check them out. Highly recommend them if you're ever under your hood doing anything. Next up, and the only other thing I think I really have under the hood, of course, is the air raid cold air intake. Now, it may not be the shiniest, most eye-catching intake out there. It still looks pretty good, don't get me wrong. But as many of you know, there are others where the The air filter down here is more exposed. You can see more stuff. They're sometimes red or blue or whatever. This one is inside. It does have a window so you can see it here. Really just for aesthetic purposes, and I guess if you want to check and see if it's getting really dirty in there, but it really serves no other purpose. We do have a nice big air inlet over here to let the Jeep suck in the air that it needs, the warm air. None of these are truly cold air intakes, right? I mean, you'd kind of have to chill the air and feed it in if you wanted, in my opinion, a true cold air intake. And then we've got the piping that goes back. It is stamped with air rate up here, and then into the throttle body there. Very simple to do, very easy to do mod, except for one part, and that is this MAF sensor grommet here. You have to put this grommet in, which is a pain in the ass, and then you have to feed the MAF sensor in. And I actually broke the original one. It was not a good thing. I had to go buy another one. I was able to find one, fortunately, at I think it was O'Reilly's. Actually had these in stock. Cost me 40 bucks for one of these stupid little things. And then I damaged this one putting it in as well. It has like a little plastic cage around it, and trying to stuff it in through this grommet put pressure on that very thin plastic cage and kind of bent it sideways, and also bent the electrodes a little bit. Fortunately, it did not damage it beyond use, I guess. So I was able to go ahead and use the second one that I had, and it's worked just fine. I haven't had any issues. That's the only downside to this. It would be nice if they had a better setup for this, this sensor that you have to put in. Now, one other thing I want to mention while I'm talking about sensors, I did not or have not had any CELs or check engine lights. So kudos to Air Raid, I guess, for at least creating something that doesn't cause problems. Now, there is another downside to this particular intake I'm going to get to in a minute, but what's the upside, right? I mean, if it were all negative, I'd be kind of stupid for putting this thing in. The sound you get out of it. It has an awesome throaty rumble to it when you're driving. You know, the other day I was following my wife. She was in the Gladiator, I was in the Tacoma, and I was marveling at that, my imitation, that sound that it makes. It was just freaking awesome. You can hear it in the cab, and you can certainly hear it outside. Now, the other downside to this, and it's not unique to this one, a lot of them are like this. How the hell do you change the filter? It's not going to fit through this hole, right? You have to remove basically the intake to do it. I can see having to remove the vacuum line here, and possibly even loosen up the clamps on the throttle body, and definitely take off these 4 screws. There's one on each corner, and then you kind of have to move this back. Now, you could, except for the screw over here, and I wouldn't recommend taking this out, it's kind of a bear to get in, but you could take that screw out then, once you have this disconnected, and pull the whole thing up. But you still have to remove the air filter itself from this tube, I guess. So it is a pain in the ass to change, but you don't have to change these very often, maybe 50,000 miles, something like that, depending on obviously where you live and what you use the truck for. But it's awesome. I highly recommend it. Anyway, that's what's under the hood and why in my 2025 Jeep Gladiator. Leave a comment. Let me know what's under your hood and why. I'd just be curious to know. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.